The conference room smells faintly of fresh espresso and polished mahogany. Golden sunlight streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, dancing across a sleek table where crisp contracts sit in perfect stacks. This is the kind of place where voices are measured. Confidence is currency, and mistakes? Mistakes cost fortunes. At the far end of that intimidating table stands a young woman, hands folded loosely at her waist. Her blazer shows wear at the cuffs. Her canvas bag rests by her feet like a loyal companion. She doesn't look nervous, but she looks careful, like someone who's learned the hard way that every move counts, every word matters. When she speaks, her voice cuts through the corporate air like a warm knife through butter. "I can translate it," she says, steady as a drumbeat. "For $500. For a moment, silence, the kind that makes your stomach flip. Then a soft laugh breaks through. It comes from a man seated slightly apart from the others, relaxed, almost amused, leaning back like this whole meeting is just a pleasant intermission in his day. His suit is understated, no flashy logos. Nobody seems to be giving him special attention, and that's exactly how he prefers it. $500, he thinks, for a handful of pages. The corner of his mouth lifts. Please subscribe and like this video and listen to my story till the end and let me know which city you're listening from. That way I can see how far my story has traveled. Around the table, heads turn toward the woman. Eyebrows arch. Someone clears their throat, the sound sharp in the silence. In a room packed with executives wearing watches worth more than most cars, her request sounds bold. To some, it sounds absurd. The man's smile widens just enough to show he finds this entertaining. He doesn't interrupt, doesn't correct her. Instead, he watches with the focus of a hawk studying a mouse. The woman meets the room with calm, unwavering eyes. She doesn't rush to explain, doesn't apologize, doesn't fidget. $500 isn't a challenge, it's a statement. What nobody here knows, or what nobody suspects, is that the man watching her so intently isn't just another guest. He's the reason this entire meeting exists. He's Marcus Chen, a self-made millionaire, the silent architect behind every deal on that table. Today, he chose to blend into the background, dress down, listening more than speaking. He wanted to see how people behaved when they thought power wasn't watching. And now, unexpectedly, power is very, very interested. Have you ever been underestimated in a room full of important people? Keep watching. The document in question isn't simple. Oh no, it's written in layered language, filled with legal landmines and cultural tripwires. One wrong word could turn a handshake into a lawsuit. That's why the room went dead silent when she named her price. Marcus's smile fades slightly. Curiosity replaces amusement. "Go ahead," someone says, voice uncertain. The woman nods once. She steps closer to the table, picks up the pages with steady hands, and begins. Her voice transforms the room. She doesn't translate word for word like a machine. She translates meaning. She adjusts tone, clarifies intent, smooths over phrases that could offend in one culture, sharpens clauses that protect both sides. She moves through the text like a conductor leading an orchestra, pausing when precision matters most. Marcus sits forward now. This is not what he expected. Around the table, pens stop tapping, phones lower. The laughter from moments earlier evaporates, replaced with something heavier: respect, surprise, and silence. The good kind. The woman finishes a complex paragraph and looks up, calm, grounded, absolutely certain. Marcus feels it then, that quiet jolt in his chest, the moment when a test stops being a game and becomes something real. $500 suddenly sounds cheap. And for the first time since he walked into this room, the millionaire is no longer smiling. But Marcus Chen doesn't reveal himself yet. Instead, he's about to test her in a way she never saw coming. What happens next will shock everyone in that room. Keep watching Part 2. The silence doesn't break right away. The woman lowers the pages gently onto the table as if placing something precious down. She doesn't smile, doesn't wait for applause. She simply steps back to where she was standing before, hands folded again, posture calm but firm. $500. That number still hangs in the air like morning mist. For most people in this room, it's pocket change, a rounding error. For her, it's everything. She feels it in the way her shoulders stay straight, in the way she refuses to explain herself further. She's already done what she came to do. Across the table, Marcus watches her with laser focus. He sat through hundreds of meetings exactly like this. He's heard polished translators, overpaid consultants, confident voices that collapse the moment real pressure appears. What he just witnessed was different. There was no showing off, no hesitation, just pure precision. He glances around the table. One executive flips through the document again, slower this time, like seeing it with new eyes. Another nods without realizing it. Someone clears their throat, then thinks better of speaking. The woman has shifted the entire balance of the room, and she did it without raising her voice even once. She doesn't know it yet, but this is the moment the real test begins. Marcus leans back, masking his thoughts behind a neutral expression. He doesn't reveal himself, not yet. Instead, he speaks for the first time, his voice casual, almost conversational. "That was accurate," he says, "but accuracy isn't everything." A few heads turn toward him now, curious. The woman looks at him, meeting his eyes without challenge, without submission, just presence. "What do you mean?" she asks. "Context, pressure, speed, real-world consequences." He taps the edge of the document with one finger. Anyone can prepare at home. This is different. The implication is crystal clear. A second test. Would you have walked away at this point, or would you have stayed to prove yourself? Let me know in the comments. The woman pauses, not because she's unsure, but because she's deciding whether this is worth it, whether he's worth it. Then she nods once, decision made. "Give me the next section," she says, voice steady as bedrock. Someone slides another page across the polished table. This one is worse. Tighter language, ambiguous clauses, the kind of text designed to trap people who rush. Legal quicksand. Marcus watches her hands this time. They don't shake, not even a tremor. She reads silently for a heartbeat, then begins. She adjusts phrases on the fly, explaining differences that aren't obvious unless you've lived inside two languages, two legal systems, two worlds. She stops once, frowns slightly, then corrects herself out loud. That sentence would create confusion in court. This version avoids it. She doesn't say it to show off. She says it because it matters, because someone downstream could get hurt if she doesn't. The room is fully quiet now. You could hear a pin drop on the carpet. Marcus feels something shift inside him. This is no longer about translation. This is about judgment, about character, about the kind of person who sees a cliff ahead and warns everyone instead of staying silent. When she finishes, she looks up again, composed. That one, she adds calmly, would cost $500 as well. A few people exchange glances. Someone almost smiles. Almost. Marcus doesn't. Instead, he studies her face, searching for arrogance, for greed, for the insecurity that usually hides beneath confidence. He finds none of them. What he sees is someone who knows her worth and refuses to apologize for it. Someone who stood in too many rooms where people tried to make her feel small. He nods slowly, deliberately. "Fair," he says. Only then does he stand. Chairs scrape softly as people adjust, suddenly aware of his presence in a new way. He straightens his jacket, no longer trying to blend in. The shift is subtle, but undeniable. The air in the room changes, thickens. The woman notices it too. Her eyes narrow slightly, reading the shift. He looks at her directly now, not as an observer, not as a skeptic, but as a decision maker. "My name is Marcus Chen, and I believe we owe you an apology." A collective breath moves through the room. You should see their faces. The woman blinks once. She has no idea yet who Marcus Chen really is, what he controls, how much power just spoke her name. But she's about to find out. The woman is about to discover that Marcus Chen isn't just another executive. He's the man who owns everything in that room, and he just made her an offer that will change her life forever. Part 3 will blow your mind. The room feels different now. Not louder, not tense, just sharper. Like someone turned up the resolution on reality. The woman feels it in the way eyes linger on her a second longer than before. She gathers her canvas bag and prepares to leave, assuming the moment has passed. Moments like this usually do, right? People thank you, nod politely, then move on with their real decisions already carved in stone. But this time, nobody tells her she can go. Marcus Chen gestures toward the empty chair near the table. "Please," he says, "sit." She hesitates, heart picking up speed just a fraction, then sits. Her hands rest on her knees, still disciplined, still controlled. She doesn't ask why. Years of being dismissed have taught her to wait for explanations rather than demand them. Marcus doesn't sit back down. He remains standing, looking at the documents, then at her. "You set a price," he says. "Most people in your position would have asked for less, or nothing at all." She looks up at him, really looks. "Most people in my position don't get asked again," she replies evenly. Oh, the quiet truth of that statement lands like a stone in still water. A ripple of understanding moves through the room. Marcus nods, acknowledging the reality in her words. "Why 500?" he asks. The question isn't sharp, it's careful, genuine. She takes a breath, not a dramatic one, just enough to steady herself before honesty. "Because that's what my work is worth," she says, "and because today, I need it." The honesty lands heavier than any rehearsed explanation could have. You can feel it settling into everyone's bones. Marcus watches her closely, seeing past the words to the person beneath. "You know," he says softly, "need is dangerous. It makes people say things they can't back up." She meets his gaze without flinching, without fear. Only if they're lying. Have you ever had to be brutally honest with someone powerful? Drop a comment if you have. Another pause. Marcus smiles slightly, but this time there's no amusement in it, only deep, genuine interest. "What are you translating right now?" he asks. She glances at the documents spread across the table. "A deal that will affect more people than anyone in this room is willing to admit," she answers quietly, "which is why accuracy matters." He studies her for a long, searching moment. Then he turns to the others in the room. "Give us the room," Marcus says. No one argues, no one questions. Chairs slide back with soft scrapes. Papers are gathered with rustling sounds. One by one, the room empties until only the two of them remain, alone with the truth hanging between them. The door closes softly. Click. The woman feels her pulse quicken just a little, not from fear, from awareness that something important is happening. Marcus finally sits across from her, the power dynamic shifting into something more equal. "Tell me about the 500, he says. She doesn't answer right away. When she does, her voice is quieter, but no less steady. "My rent is due in 4 days, she says, each word measured. "My mother works 2 jobs. I don't ask her for help. And I've already been told I'm overqualified and underconnected in the same sentence more times than I can count." Marcus listens. He doesn't interrupt, doesn't check his watch, doesn't dismiss her reality. "I translate because it's the one thing I do better than anyone around me," she says, not bitterly, just factually. And today, she looks at him directly, now eyes clear. "I didn't ask for charity. I asked for fair pay." Marcus exhales slowly, deeply. This was supposed to be simple, a quiet test, a moment to confirm what he already believed about people when money isn't obvious, when power is hidden. Instead, he's sitting across from someone who has just reminded him why he started testing it all. "You know," he says carefully, "most people would have folded after the first laugh." She shrugs, a small gesture filled with years of experience. "Most people can't afford to." The words stay with him, echoing. He stands again, walks to the window, then turns back to her, silhouetted against the city skyline. "There's something you should know," he says. She tenses slightly, preparing for disappointment. It's a reflex she's learned too well. Marcus pauses, choosing his words with the care of someone handling explosives. "This isn't the end of the test," he says quietly. "It's the beginning." She swallows once, throat tight, and waits for the world to shift beneath her feet. Marcus Chen is about to reveal who he really is and make her an offer that seems impossible, but there's a catch she never saw coming. Part 4 will leave you speechless. Marcus doesn't explain himself right away. Instead, he returns to the table and gathers the documents into a single stack, straightening the edges carefully, methodically, as if order itself carries meaning. The woman watches him, every instinct awake, every nerve alert. She's learned to read silences, to hear what isn't being said. "You came here to translate," he says, still focused on the papers. "But what you actually did was protect everyone in this room from making a very expensive mistake." She remains silent, waiting, barely breathing. Marcus slides one document toward her, finger pointing to a paragraph she adjusted earlier. "This clause," he continues, voice measured, "if it had gone through as written, it would have shifted liability in a way no one noticed, not even the lawyers." Her eyes flick down to the page. She nods once, recognition in her expression. "Yes," she says, "that's why I stopped." "And if no one had asked you to?" Marcus presses, testing still, always testing. "Then it would still be there," she replies without hesitation, "waiting to hurt someone later." Marcus exhales slowly, deeply. There it is. The reason he stayed undercover. The reason he keeps testing people when they think no one important is watching. Too many professionals do only what they're paid to do. Too few do what's right when no one is forcing them. He leans forward, elbows on the table. "What would you have done if they'd refused to pay you?" She thinks for a moment, genuine consideration in her eyes. "I would have walked out," she says, "and I would have slept badly knowing they didn't listen." He studies her face, searching for cracks in the honesty. "But you would have said something." "Yes." "Why?" She looks up at him, and for the first time there's something raw in her expression. "Because I would rather lose money than live with silence." The answer lands hard. Marcus sits back, the test evolving into something else entirely. He's no longer testing her skill. He's testing alignment, values, the things money can't buy but power desperately needs. "Would you have stayed silent to keep the money, or spoken up and risked everything? Be honest in the comments." "You know," he says carefully, "people assume power always announces itself, that it arrives loudly in expensive suits, in corner offices, with fanfare." She listens, really listens. "But real power," he continues, "often hides. It watches. It waits to see who people are when they think no one can reward or punish them." She understands now, at least partly, the pieces clicking into place. "You were watching me," she says, not accusingly, just stating fact. Marcus nods. "Yes." "And laughing earlier, that was part of it too." He doesn't deny it. It was. She holds his gaze, unflinching. "Then you should know something else." "What's that?" "I was watching you too." That catches him completely off guard. The look on his face. For a man used to being 10 steps ahead, she just surprised him. She continues, voice calm but powerful. "You didn't laugh to humiliate me. You laughed to see if I would retreat. And when I didn't, you stopped." Marcus says nothing, listening to his own test reflected back at him. "You were testing whether I believed my own price," she finishes. A slow smile spreads across his face, not amused, not smug, respectful, genuinely, deeply respectful. "You passed," he says quietly. She doesn't react the way most people would. No visible relief, no satisfaction, no celebration, only a slight nod, accepting the information. What happens now? Marcus stands again, this time with clear purpose. He reaches into his jacket and removes a business card. Simple, elegant, white cardstock, no title printed beneath his name, just Marcus Chen in clean black letters. He places it on the table between them with deliberate care. "This deal," he says, "is mine." The room feels smaller suddenly, the walls closer, the air thicker. She looks at the card, then back at him, understanding flying through her. "You're the decision maker." "Yes." Her breathing steadies, her posture doesn't change, but something in her eyes does. Awareness, understanding that everything just shifted. "And the 500?" she asks. Marcus smiles faintly. That was never the real cost. He pauses, then adds, "But you will be paid." She nods once. "Good." He laughs softly now, genuinely, warmly. Most people would have asked for more. She meets his eyes with that quiet strength that first caught his attention. Most people would have been wrong. Marcus feels something settle into place, like a key turning in a lock. "This isn't a job interview," he says. She waits, patient. "And it's not a favor." She still waits. "It's an opportunity," he says, "for both of us." She considers his words carefully, weighing them against every disappointment, every broken promise she's heard before. "Then say it clearly," she replies, voice firm. "What are you offering?" Marcus looks at her fully now. No more games, no more tests, just truth. "Respect," he says, "first." The silence that follows isn't empty. It's earned. It's full of possibility and risk and hope and fear all tangled together. Marcus doesn't rush the moment. He remains standing, one hand resting lightly on the back of the chair, giving her space to think, to breathe, to decide. The offer he just made is intentionally incomplete. He wants to see what she does when power doesn't push, when the choice is genuinely hers. She's about to make a decision that will change everything, but first, she has to decide if she can trust the man who laughed at her price. Part 5 will bring you to tears. The woman looks down at the business card again. The name is simple: Marcus Chen. No title, no company logo, no corporate jargon. But now she understands why the room shifted when he stood, why voices lowered when he spoke. "You said respect," she says slowly, carefully. "That's not a position." Marcus nods, appreciating her precision. "It's the foundation." She considers that, turning the words over in her mind like stones. "Foundations are invisible once the building is finished," she says. "That's true," he agrees. "I don't want to be a quiet fix," she says. And there's something breaking in her voice, something years in the making. "I've been one my entire life." The weight of those words, the exhaustion of always being essential but never visible. Marcus studies her face, the calm intensity behind her eyes, the strength it takes to say that out loud. "Neither do I," he says. "That's why I'm speaking to you privately instead of making an announcement in that room." She tilts her head slightly, processing. "You want me to choose?" "Yes." "Without pressure?" "Yes." She leans back in her chair for the first time, allowing herself a full breath, oxygen filling lungs that have been tight for too long. "Then tell me the truth," she says. "What happens if I say no?" Marcus answers without hesitation, without games. "You walk out with $500 for each section you translated. Nothing more. No consequences." "And if I say yes?" He pauses, choosing his words with the weight they deserve. "Then you help me prevent mistakes before they happen. You sit at tables where people don't usually invite voices like yours, and you're paid accordingly." "Accordingly is vague," she replies immediately, still sharp, still careful. He smiles, caught. "You noticed." She doesn't smile back. "Say the number." "What would you have asked for at this moment?" "Comment below." Marcus names it, calmly, clearly, a number that makes her breath catch just for a fraction of a second. She recovers quickly, but he sees it, the moment when impossible becomes real. The number isn't outrageous for him. For her, it's life-altering. It's her mother retiring. It's breathing room. It's dignity. "That's not fair," she says quietly, almost whispering. "It's market value," he responds gently. "You simply haven't been allowed into the market." She looks at her hands, at the worn cuffs of her blazer, at the canvas bag that's carried her dreams through too many dismissive rooms. "People like me don't usually get offers like this without strings," she says. Marcus nods, understanding the fear beneath the words. "Then let me be clear about the strings." He sits down across from her, leveling the playing field. "You don't report to me," he says. "You report to the work. If something is wrong, you say so, even if it costs money." She looks up, searching his face for the lie. "And if I embarrass someone important?" He meets her gaze with absolute certainty. "Then I will stand next to you." The words settle between them like a contract written in something stronger than ink, like a promise carved in stone. She looks away, toward the window. The city beyond the glass feels distant now, like another world entirely. For years, she's been invisible inside rooms like this, translating quietly, fixing quietly, leaving quietly, while others took credit. "You laughed at me," she says suddenly, turning back to him. Marcus doesn't deflect, doesn't make excuses. "I did. And now you're offering me a seat at your table?" "Yes. Why should I trust that this isn't another test?" He thinks carefully before answering, giving her the honesty of honesty. "Because I don't test people twice in the same way, and because you already passed the one that mattered." She studies him, searching for certainty, for guarantees. She doesn't find promises, she finds something better. Alignment. Truth. A man who tested her and found her worthy. She reaches into her canvas bag and pulls out a folded receipt, worn at the edges, creased from being opened and closed too many times. "This is my rent notice," she says, placing it on the table between them. 4 days. Marcus doesn't touch it, doesn't diminish it. "I'm showing you this not to gain sympathy," she continues, voice stronger now. "I'm showing you because if I accept your offer, it cannot be because I'm desperate." He nods once, deeply. "Agreed." She takes a breath, then another, the weight of the decision pressing down on her shoulders like the sky itself. "I will say yes," she says slowly, each word a step forward, "on one condition." Marcus waits, giving her the space. "You don't save me," she says, and there's steel in her voice now, forged from every time someone tried to help and made her feel small instead. "You hire me." He smiles fully now, warmly, with genuine respect radiating from every line of his face. "That," he says, "was always the point." Oh, the relief, the validation, the moment when worth is finally recognized. "Then we're clear," she says. They stand at the same time, equals now, partners. Marcus extends his hand. She shakes it, firm and steady, the handshake of someone who knows what they bring to the table. The deal isn't signed, no papers are exchanged, but both of them know something has already changed, something fundamental, something that can't be taken back. Tell me in the comments, and if you've dealt with something similar, share your story. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. Weeks later. The conference room looks the same as it did on that first day, but it feels different now. Calmer, more grounded, more honest. She stands at the window for a moment after everyone leaves, watching traffic move steadily below like blood through veins. Weeks ago, she was an afterthought in rooms like this, a voice that could be ignored. Today, her name appears on the documents as a permanent part of the process. Marcus joins her, holding a thin folder. "It's done," he says. She nods, a small smile playing at her lips. It was done the moment people started listening. He laughs softly at that, the sound warm and genuine. They sit across from each other one last time before the room is cleared for the next meeting, the next deal, the next test. Marcus opens the folder and slides something across the table. It's a single sheet of paper, neatly framed behind glass. She looks down, confused at first. Then tears spring to her eyes. Inside the frame is a $500 bill, the same amount she named on the first day. She looks up, vision blurring. "You kept it." Marcus nods, voice gentle. "It reminded me of something important." "Which is?" she asks, barely whispering. "That value doesn't announce itself. It stands its ground and waits." She studies the frame, then shakes her head softly, a tear rolling down her cheek. People laughed at that number. They laughed because it challenged them, not because it was wrong. She leans back in her chair, wiping her eyes, laughing through the tears. "You know, I almost didn't say it. What stopped you?" She thinks about it for a moment, remembering that fear, that moment of doubt. "If I'd asked for less, I would have spent the rest of my time here trying to prove I deserved more." Marcus nods, understanding completely. "And instead, you made them prove you wrong." They sit in silence for a moment. Outside, the city continues to move, deals close, people hurry. Most moments pass unnoticed, unremarked, forgotten. But not this one. Marcus breaks the quiet. "I'm glad you stayed." She looks at him, really looks, seeing past the millionaire to the person beneath. "I'm glad you listened." He smiles. That's rarer than it should be. She stands and picks up her canvas bag, the same one she carried into the room weeks ago. It looks smaller here now, less worn somehow. Or maybe she has just grown larger, stronger, more certain. As she leaves the building, she pauses on the steps and looks back once. The glass reflects her clearly now, not as someone trying to belong, but as someone who already does. Someone who charged what she was worth and changed everything. Inside, Marcus returns to his office and places the framed bill on the shelf behind his desk, not as a trophy, not as a decoration, as a reminder. Power doesn't come from wealth alone. It comes from recognizing value when it speaks quietly, from standing next to people when they stand up for themselves, and from knowing that sometimes all it takes to change everything is the courage to name your price and the integrity to stand by it. The story doesn't end with applause. It doesn't end with fanfare. It ends with respect. Hard-earned, well-deserved, undeniable respect. And that is worth more than any amount of money could ever buy. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you are worth more than what desperate situations make you accept. Stand your ground. Name your price. The right people will listen.